So welcome to this ABNCast episode recorded at MRO Europe in London. It's day 2, halfway through, just about. So we're getting there. We've been invited to speak to Sharon Green, the CEO of Unical, on the Unical stand. It's also Unical with the ecube.
That's right.
Because as we were discussing before we started, it's about the year anniversary of Unical acquiring ecube. So let's start with that, actually. A bit of a catch up. What's gone on in the last year? Bringing two companies together is always a challenge, but what's been happening and how's that gone?
Well, so it's been an amazing combination. I obviously remember when ecube was founded, and I knew those people, and it was a different approach in dismantling because it was a very green approach. Right. And so when we heard whispers that they were available, we jumped at the opportunities. Very excited to bring the companies together.
So what was interesting, you say green approach, you mean that's in the sustainability sense?
Exactly.
Yeah, what was it that they were doing that was really interesting and different from, the existing market?
Even from working with Boeing, so, got a lot of composites and 787 of composite material, and so they're storing that for Boeing as we work through ways to do something other than bury that material. Yeah. So that's good. But then in terms of the percentage of the recycling that they do,
how much they're back.
So they try to maximize that instead of just.
I mean, that is in the high, 80-90%, is it? Or it genuinely is. They are turning this around.
And then, of course, there's plane reclaimers, which they generate jewelry or furniture, and that's a fun after product as well, but that's true sustainability there.
There's a whole ecosystem out there of companies that can take that material back into the market.
Luggage tags, the whole 9 yards.
So in order of sort of explaining a bit about how Unical and ecube come together in terms of the different things that they do and the synergies that you've talked about Unical and what Unical specializes in, and how that aligns with ecube specialisms.
Yeah, so Unical is used serviceable material. Yeah. And of course a huge boost post-pandemic because it's been around forever, but the need for it, with the slowdown that came from the OEMs was the acceptance of it. Yeah. And of course it's got a lower entry point cost-wise. So that has really been a boon to this side of the industry. Yeah. And then you combine that with ecube, so our speed to market really increases. Yeah. I mean, when you can control that side of
guaranteed.
Exactly.
And that's what everyone wants at the minute. When you talk to anybody in the show, it's the attitude towards USM is very positive.
Exactly.
It's opening up. It's broadening.
Even the OEMs are supporting them.
Okay. Yeah. Because it's necessity that's doing this, isn't it? And that's actually a good thing, I suppose, because it makes the industry operate in a more, more efficient way, I think. Isn't it?
And sustainable. Yeah. Because otherwise, it's just that whole profit curve. I mean, they've got to constantly generate new profits. Yeah. But when you can pull back on that, it's beneficial to the.
But one of the challenges is getting hold of the aircraft in the first place, that's a very, very fraught market. And there's other people around in this show who are doing that as well.
So that's another synergy then with
how's that getting?
With ecube from the standpoint of ecube services all the major lessors and owners, operators. So previously Unical, it's got to be end of life. That decision has to already be made. Yeah. But with ecube is providing all these other services. So you can have an owner that parks a plane planning to put it back in the air, which of course is the preferred. We want them flying.
Yeah. And the OEMs like them to be flying.
Exactly. Everybody wants them in the air. Yeah. But if that's not the case, they can make a decision later on that, the economics aren't there. We're going to...
You're hearing that. You're hearing about some aircraft.
Well,
very young aircraft.
Neos was 6 years old.
Yeah, 6. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds crazy from the outsider.
Well,
you think, how does this work? But it is the economics.
It is purely the economics. And it's the obviously the problems that they ran into with the GTF engine. And for the lessors in particular, it did not make sense for them.
That's it. It's the lessors play a very important role. But I know you have to work closely with the leasing companies. Yeah. How is that relationship evolving then with the owners of the assets?
Oh no, that's always been a strong relationship, even like before ecube, but especially after ecube, because it's we talk about wanting to be a preferred supplier or a supplier of choice. So whatever the customer needs, we provide it. Yeah. And this really makes that, it can be words or it can be reality. And with ecube, it makes it a reality.
Yeah. All the talk is about aging fleets, but
Right.
keeping them in the air for longer. That changes demand patterns, I guess. What the kind of USM you're going to need? What are you seeing there? Is it across the board, or are there certain pinch points?
I mean, it'll like the demand will always follow the install base, which is predominantly narrow body. And supply is going to pick up. I mean, eventually the OEMs are going to catch up, and I mean that's probably a couple of years away, but that's going to catch up, and so supply will increase. But it's in aviation, it's not if, it's when the cycle comes. So that'll come, and we hope that we see what we saw in previous cycles, that the owners operators were very responsible, so there's no dumping in the marketplace, and that preserves.
Yeah, there was everyone wants to sort of predict the future and when this cycle will end. I think there's a feeling that we've still got a fair amount of time left in this, 4 or 5 years, if you're optimistic. Possibly it's a new normal and it won't go back to how things were, and maybe it shouldn't. How do you see things? What's your prognosis for the future?
I'm like you. Everything you read, a lot of people are still saying 27. I think it's going to be beyond 27. I mean, it could be 27 and everything went right, but I think if the last few years have taught us anything, it's that everything won't go right. But I do think just like we said, I think there's going to be more demand for USN, and so it'll be more harvesting. So even though there may be a bigger supply, there will be a greater demand on that supply.
Okay.
So
I mean, there is the OEMs that are getting back on track. I think Boeing's hitting their minimums now. About. So that helps because that then releases the older aircraft, and good for you guys. Obviously,
good for us.
A bit more opportunity out there. That's obviously a positive, that that's happening. Do you see that continuing now, that the OEMs have got everything more in order?
Just barring any other unforeseen issues, it should continue trending.
And that is the other theme, and that is the issue of aviation. It's hard to predict future aviation because things come along.
Exactly.
But it's almost, the sense you get from this show is, but we've got to try and predict everything we can predict, because if we don't do that, we're going to be surprised all the time. We're going to expect surprises. So what are you doing in terms of data analysis and looking at what demand trends might be and what's coming for the future? You're ready for it. You're not reactive, and you're proactive.
So we established an entire department around asset management and strategy, and now we've layered in a data scientist group. I don't even know what to call them yet. We're just brainiacs, basically. So this
is fairly new.
For us, and it is getting ahead of that because the data, the bases are getting broader and broader. It's much more data to deal with. Unical also deals in consumables and expendables, along with the rotable parts, which are, those chronic. You read that we've got 90 million parts, and that's true. I obviously, when I came on board, I doubted that, and I had to do a download.
So you have 90 million parts.
In quantity.
Ready, available today.
Exactly. So it's a lot. I mean, we are the broadest holder of USM.
Okay.
Across, wide body, narrow body, regional. Airframe engines.
You hear quite a bit about we run a predictive aircraft maintenance conference, which obviously that's why we're quite kind of keen on this idea of using data to predict the future. And we ran our APAC version of it, our first APAC version in Singapore a few weeks back, and a lot of talk about the impact of people hoarding parts, and trying to come to a situation where there's a little bit of a kind of a sharing community or a sharing model, a sort of. It was suggested like Airbnb. I mean, it's completely different to Airbnb, but that kind of ethos of saying, let's not make this situation worse by being too conservative. Difficult to do in aviation because what is the commercial?
I mean, there's a lot of that out there. I mean, there's carts pooling where aircraft. I mean, or not aircraft, but aircraft owners participate in a pool, so they don't have to own those assets themselves. So that's been around. A while, and then there's that whole concept of exchanges. So they're not they're renting the part.
Versus, leasing. I mean,
exactly.
For short term.
For short term means.
Which just complicates things, but actually, technology is such these days that hopefully the technology is there to manage that kind of thing effectively, isn't it? And that is happening. People are adopting new technologies to help with that.
I think it is. I think it is rolling, but I mean, we still depend heavily on like ILS, which was invented in the 70s.
Yeah. Okay.
Which that says a lot about our industry, which is amazing because, we put airplanes in the air, but that it's the other side of it we probably don't manage as well. But predictive maintenance and just predictive replacements and all of that is definitely coming out of GE, which did a lot of work in that area.
Yeah. Interesting that you're investing in this area with the new data.
Yeah, it's just baby steps. Yeah, exactly.
So these people, they're not aviation people. Yeah. They're learning a new sector, are they? But they are data people. They are specialists in data.
So far they are aviation people. Okay. So we've been lucky from that standpoint. They've been in some part, whether OEM or aftermarket, they've been in some area or aspect of the industry already. So it's not.
So they're bringing that human intelligence expertise to it.
Yeah. But that is the next evolution, because you just want the mind that can manipulate that kind of data, sometimes without any predisposition around how it should look.
Yeah. Because that places the other great challenge is people, isn't it? And skills in the industry.
Yeah.
So you're having to go out and find these skills and compete, because they've got these data analytics is in every sector, in every business.
That's right.
So they could choose to, work in anywhere, retail, all sorts of places.
Yeah.
Aviation has to fight for that. How tough is that? I mean, you're probably doing it more in the States, are you?
In Arizona, we're based. Yeah. And so far we've managed to because it takes a lot of knowledge to sell, USM material. I mean, it's these are people that have learned parts, and a lot of times the people that are really good at it learned it before there are all these databases or apps or whatever to pull from. So, so far we're just going into all the different areas of the business, finding those people and pulling them in.
Right.
And just saying, we know you wanted to repair parts, but we really think you're more of a thinker than a repairer. And
sometimes you've got the people in the business already.
Exactly.
It's just the question of, have you ever thought about adding this skill to your skill set?
Exactly.
And that's a great way to
marketing or from where
and it's a great way to retain people, isn't it? Because you're giving them a career progression.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and that's exciting.
How many people does the company actually employ?
So altogether, between ecube and Unical, we've got about 450.
450 people. And how many sites? Where do you operate?
So headquarters is in Glendale, Arizona. Yeah. And then, of course, ecube has a facility in Coolidge, Arizona.
Right.
Then we have a London office and the Wales facility in Lancaster.
Okay. Going forward, everyone's talking about trying to grow.
Yeah.
Meet these capacity requirements. So, what's your plans? What can we expect from Unical going forward then?
Just from an expansion, a physical expansion, obviously APAC, and that's. Okay. I mean, we have strong relationships there. We do a lot of business in that region, but we're not physically in the region. Okay. So that's something we're looking at now, both people, parts.
Yeah. Is that a different market entirely, or is it the same requirements there? It's just in a different part of the world.
So I would say it's more stringent on the requirements. Especially obviously China. It's the largest operator, but that's something we're working with Block Aero. In terms of creating a digital passport for FARCs.
Okay.
So because historically, or not historically, I guess by requirement, parts in China or used surplus had to be dismantled there.
Okay.
And so our ecube facility in Wales is actually going for an audit this week.
Yeah. Is there a general growing trustworthiness around USM? There's been issues around USM, that.
It just worldwide, you mean?
I guess in the industry,
No, and that's what I was saying. Is I think that's the one good thing that came out of COVID is that it was by necessity. Yeah. But then people realized. I mean, you see. I'm not gonna mention customers' names, but there are major airlines around the world that historically just did not choose USM, and now we've seen that they realized. Obviously, it's certified to the exact same standards.
Yeah.
So the safety is there, but new is always the easy button, but it's certainly not the cheapest button.
Yeah. Going back to China, clearly a really interesting market. When we were in Singapore for our PAM conference, met some local people there. 53 airlines in China, some of which are every bit as big as the household names that we know over here in the West. And actually, very, very focused on time performance. So it's very focused on no AOGs, absolutely none. You know?
Yeah.
So this is quite an interesting market.
Yeah.
They're looking to bring in that Western intelligence, are they, to help with that? And then I know China can be a tricky one to get into. You need a local company to partner with usually.
Right. Generally, yeah. Now, it's like I said, we enjoy strong relationships there. A lot of it's been on the buy side.
Okay.
So a lot of our supply will come from the APAC region, and on the sales side, I think it's going to be more programmatic. Going into there.
So before we wrap up, it's been a busy show, I think. You've actually got a stand in quite a decent spot. You're close to the main Ocean area. There's an entrance there, so you can't really miss you as you drive as you come by.
Yeah.
How's it been? Busy? And
it's been good, but we serve breakfast and lunch, so so there's that. Not to give away.
You bribe people with food, they will come.
Hey,
okay.
yeah. But it normally, and then we have a happy hour as well.
Well, exactly. I was going to say there must be alcohol involved at some point.
Occasionally.
No, but it feels like there's a show. It's a year of people getting on and doing things. There's less talk about the theory. It's more getting in and practice and getting really into the nuts and bolts of the industry and how we move forward. Is that in the feeling?
Yeah, and just a very positive vibe coming from the year. That's a lot of times what these shows would do for you. They give you this vibe of what your customers.
I suppose it comes from ultimately, and at the bottom of it, the customer demand has never been higher. So that's not an issue. We don't have, I've never done, not worry about it, but there doesn't seem to be an issue there at all. I mean, again, it may be a post-COVID thing still, but I don't think it is. I think it's just a long-term trend, isn't it? That people want to travel.
Exactly. It's just too much invested in infrastructure for it to go away.
Yeah, so. and emerging markets, which are still pretty untapped. I haven't even talked about India or Africa, but I mean, it's huge potential markets there. Yeah,
and especially for the aftermarket, because those are the oldest fleets that are up in Africa anyway.
Yes. Yeah. Look, Sharon, thanks for that. It went very quick, but our time is kind of up. Thanks for inviting us onto the stand.
No, I appreciate it.
Thanks for the coffee. That's great. Keep me going for the afternoon.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll see you again maybe next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.